Well, hello everyone and welcome. I'm out here in the van again with Milo, and this time we have a guest appearance of Bob, my husband. I guess he couldn't resist the idea of coming out to the Tofino area, which he does love, and so we're having a family camp. Milo's really ready to get out of that van and he's desperate for a walk, so I'm taking him to the beach. So, yes, in this video, there's going to be a lot about beaches. Well, we're down here on the beach at Greenpoint, which is the campsite in Pacific Rim National Park. And this is one section of beach where dogs are allowed as long as they're on a leash. So Milo's pretty happy and we're just going to go for a walk. One of the areas I really love exploring is the intertidal zone. That's the area that's covered and uncovered up to twice a day here on this coast by the coming and going of the tides. At the top of the rocks, you quite often will find little crevasses where flowers, little plants, are clinging for their lives. They aren't covered usually by the waves themselves, but are subject to lots of spray and occasionally some waves. As you work your way down towards the water when you're here at low tide, you can see there's such an abundance of life. And believe it or not, most of what you're seeing here are actually animals. And many of these little beings actually look like they must be plants, but indeed, the vast majority of them are animals. It's really a fascinating area. And occasionally, if you're lucky, you can poke your head down and around some rocks and find a sea star clinging to the rocks. Many of our beaches have a real abundance of drift logs, and some of them are incredibly artistic and very interesting to look at. At various places along the beach, fresh water comes down the hillsides and spills out over the sand. When there's a fresh water flow, it is a great attraction for the birds to come in. They come in by the hundreds just to have a bath and enjoy all that fresh water. If you want a little break from the sound of the surf and the blowing of the wind, you can head up into the trees, find trails to walk through the forest. It's an abundant rainforest area full of beautiful green, lush plants. I really find this a refreshing and a very, very beautiful and peaceful place to wander about. After returning from the beach and having a quick dinner of chili and toast, we headed back down to the beach for the sunset. This night we were blessed with a beautiful sunset with gorgeous colors and lighting on the rocks, the plants, the sand, the water. It was absolutely a perfect way to end this great day that we've had here. Bob took Milo back up to the van and I stayed down here at the beach to practice shooting some footage with my new Nikon Coolpix 1100. I was pretty happy with some of these photos. It's a really great little camera and I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. The following morning, we headed out towards the town of Ucluelet and enjoyed a beautiful walk, which we've done many times, out to Aphrodite Point, which has a lighthouse and has some gorgeous trails and is part of the Wild Pacific Trail System. This part of the coastline is incredibly rugged, very different from the Pacific Rim section that we were just at, and it is commonly called the Graveyard of the Pacific. And there are absolutely hundreds of ships, boats that have gone down in this area, all up and down this coast. This little map just shows you all of the different water vessels that have succumbed, all the ones that are known to have succumbed along this coastline. It's extensive. We followed the lighthouse loop, which is only 2.6 kilometers back to the car, and really enjoyed the variety of sights that we could see along the way. There was lots and lots of lookouts and lots of rest areas that you can sit down and just enjoy and take in the beauty of this coast. After walking through the forest and coming out close to the parking lot, we come across the bog area, which is a wetland. It's a hugely important part of the ecosystem here and has very different types of plants, sphagnum moss being one of them, which actually is the basis for peat, which stores huge amounts of water and also carbon. Well, we had a full day and really enjoyed ourselves. We never tire of coming to this area, and we often repeat the same walks. It's always a little bit different. It's always gorgeous and very interesting. So we got together and put together some dinner. It's going to be hamburgers and salad. Again, a really simple dinner. It was well appreciated as we were both hungry. After dinner, of course, it was time for another family walk on the beach. Milo got a lot of walking, a lot of exercise, and so did Bob and I, and we all slept very well because of it. I want to tell you a little story. Bob and Milo and I just came down here, and we were walking along the shoreline, and a little girl came up to me. She must have been at the most maybe 7, and she said, "Can I pat your dog?" And I said, "Oh, okay, sure you can." So I got Milo from Bob and let her pat him, and she said, "Oh, I want to give you this shell, just a mussel shell she found on the beach." And then she wanted to give me a little stone that she'd also found. And then her brother and her little sister came up, and they were all wearing those beautiful knitted jackets, obviously hand knitted, and it turned out that their grandmama had knit them all. And I said, "Well, that's beautiful that your grandma did that. Do you know how old's your grandma?" She says, "Well, I think she's 45. And then the dad came over. He says, "Well, she's actually 85. I thought, well, Grandma will be really happy. great-grandchildren actually think she's just 45. But the cutest thing was that then the other two children, the little boy and the little girl, also wanted to give me a stone that they'd collected, or a little shell. They wanted to give one to Bob, and I just thought how sweet that is, that they walked the beach and they had these little treasures, and they didn't have any more. They just had those. And they decided to give them to me and then again to Bob. And I thanked them profusely for them, and it was so sweet. And then Bob and I carried on down the beach, and I thought I had these little treasures in my hand, and I just was so amazed at the simplicity of and the beauty of the gift. That was what they'd collected, and they gave it away. So as I walked down the beach, I thought, oh, I just felt really warm in my heart, and I thought, now what will I do with them? And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to give them back to the sea. So eventually I walked out and I put them in the waves. And of course, within a moment, the waves turned it over, and that's what this picture is. It's already been emptied, all except for one piece. And I thought, isn't that just such a lesson? That, you know, you receive something and you enjoy it, you appreciate the beauty of it, and then you give it to somebody else. I just thought, and then you need to give it on. So I gave it back to the ocean so the ocean could, in turn, wash it up again on the beach, and somebody else might pick it up and enjoy it. But I just thought, it's such a precious lesson. And here was 3 little children, I'm sure under 7, just freely giving what they had collected and were going to keep for themselves, and they gave them to me. What can you say about that? It was such a good reminder about giving and receiving and giving back and keeping that circle going. I felt it was just a precious gift. The act of giving was a gift, and it really warmed my heart. The time that we had here just flew by, and we had very, very good weather. Rain's forecast for the morning, so our timing is exquisite. I stayed down at the beach again, and Bob had taken Milo back up, and I just wanted to sit and watch once again the last of the sun go down. I hope you've enjoyed this little getaway with us, and I know it's a short video, but it was great fun. So take care, and I'll see you on the next one. And thanks again for watching.